All right. So let us begin today's session. Right. So back and neck straight. We're just going to open the class. Back neck straight. Close your eyes. And start observing your breath. Natural flow of your breath as you inhale and as you exhale. Just stay connected to your breath. And just make sure your entire body is relaxed. And slowly begin to deepen your breath, going for slow, long, and deep inhalations. Slow, long, and deep exhalations. Allowing you to relax your mind completely. We'll be chanting Om followed by the mantra, and then we close the mantra with one Om and three shantis.
ज्यादा चने चने हो जाते हैं
Exhale
तो
completely
मतलब फिर वो दाल नहीं बनाए या चने अगर बच जाते हैं तो
and
नेक्स्ट डे बना
inhale for
तो
Om.
चेंज हो जाएगा मेरी मशीन जी
Sarve bhavantu sukhino. Sarve santu nirvano.
और सर एक चीज और थी कि ना 300 वाले 5 बच्चों में 3 आए थे मेरे पास कि जो है 100 आर वाले जो वो बिल्कुल बेसिक है कुछ उसमें आते हैं तो हम ये करा रहे कि 100 वो एक साथ करा रहे हैं मंडे से तो वो नीचे वाले उसमें एडजस्ट हो जाएंगे मैंने चेक कर लिया है और 300 आर की सेपरेट क्लास करा रहे हैं ठीक है ऐसा कर लेते हैं मंडे से तो मैंने उन लोगों को यही बोला था कि मंडे की सबकी क्लासेस सेम होती है एक हफ्ते तक तो क्या होता है सबकी बॉडी एक्सरसाइज हो जाएगी फिर हम ऐसा करते हैं तो ये नीचे वाले में सब सेटल हो जाएंगे कोई दिक्कत ठीक सर शाम को मैं आता हूँ 4 बजे
in front of your chest and rub both the palms together. Them on the eyes. Very slowly while blinking and looking at your palms, open up your eyes, come back with a smile. And namaste to everyone. Let us begin today's session. So we are going to continue. We had, discussed the meaning of yoga yesterday. And today we're just going to continue this thing. And yesterday we had, covered two meanings. One was yogas chitta vritti nirodh, and second one was samatvam yoguchyate. And I told you how both of them are connected, right? So let's go to the third definition. I'm sharing my screen so that you guys can directly see what I'm writing. So I told you that the way to naturally reach to a point where, the vrittis, the mental modifications or fluctuations in your mental field will, naturally cease to exist is through this definition, samatvam yoguchyate, where, balance or equanimity is yoga, as described by Krishnaji, right? And then I told you that there is, it's easy to say that maintaining, one must maintain balance in life, one must maintain, be economist towards situations. However, it is very hard to achieve, right? So how do you reach this point where you feel that you are balanced? So next definition that Krishnaji gave in Bhagavad Gita was yoga karmasu kaushalam. You will find this definition in the second chapter, 50th slok, where, perfection, or I can say skillfulness in action is yoga. Later on after the 48th slok, 49th slok, 50th slok, he says, yoga karmasu kaushalam. Perfection or skillfulness in action is yoga, right? So now, when your actions, when you conduct yourself or every action that you do with a level of skillfulness, right? That is when the skillfulness in your action will come, that is when you will come in a state of equanimity. And when you come in a state of equanimity, that is when you will go to the first definition, where chitta vrittis cease to exist. All right. So what does he mean by skillfulness in action or perfection in action? So he described it just with this short shlok, and this is the direct translation. But perfection according to us uh, can be subjective, right? I can say that this is perfect, and somebody else can say that that is perfect, right? But that is not the perfection that has been talked of over here. There are certain qualities which universally make an action skillful or perfect. All right, and I'm just going to mention those qualities to you. One thing is you have full concentration, dedication. So it doesn't matter, sorry, concentration and dedication. So it doesn't matter what you are doing, that is not relevant. All right. So whenever you're doing something, do not give relevance to what exactly you are doing. So why I'm saying this, because sometimes what happens is we feel that we are not supposed to do certain things in life. Like, if I see a very common example of, all of us existing in family, right? So certain things your parents will do for you. So sometimes what happens is, all right, my parents will clean the house, so I shouldn't be doing it, right? So it you should not, whatever work that you are given, you should do it with full concentration and dedication. It shouldn't happen that, you are not supposed to do this, or this is not your duty. This you will see a lot of times in your work environment also. Sometimes, people are at a very high position and they are given something which, a task which is a beginner level task, and that is when, your inner voice knocks and you said, I am not supposed to do this task, right? But it uh, It's okay. There is no high level or low level task. There is. The quality in whatever you are doing, you have to focus on the quality, right? So there should be full concentration and dedication whenever you are doing something. It doesn't matter what it is. All right. Then second quality is that this we will study in when we will cover Karma Yoga also, where expectation is suspended. All right. So suppose I am given a particular task. So in my home, maybe I'm given the task of washing the dishes. Taking a very hypothetical example. So I do not like doing that. Yeah. So then I'm given that task. So what I'll do is, okay, my sister has told me do this. I love my sister a lot, so I will do that thing, right? And my basic expectation is, because my sister told me to do this task and I love her so much and I'm doing it for her. After I get that work done, I want some appreciation, right? It's a very common thing. We all desire some sort of appreciation. So same thing happens, and I go and I wash the dishes, and it takes me so long, and it's so tiring, it is so hot, I'm sweating. And after that, when I go out, my sister, she's busy doing her own work, and she doesn't even like bother to look and that I have completed that task. And that thing really disappoints me within, right? Because I did something because I loved her and all of that, and because I wanted that appreciation at the end of completing that task. So my entire focus when I was doing that task was entirely on the fruits of that action, right? Whatever I will do, there is some result that I expected out of it. And because of this expectation, this result that I expected out of that task, and because I did not get it, there is a sense of suffering that comes in, right? So this happens to all of us, right? Even when we offer somebody something that they need, something as simple as water. Suppose somebody is thirsty and I offer them water. Even then, I would expect a thank you. Why? Why is every work that I am doing, everything that I am doing, connected to this expectation? So I am completely connected to the fruits of my action, or the result, right, of my action. And if I do not get that result, that is a result that I aim for, then I will directly go into a state where I am disappointed from that thing, right? And other way around is also not very good. Okay. So suppose that whatever I was expecting, I get out of the work that I am putting in. Even then, I will not be in a balanced state. You have to achieve this thing. You have to achieve the balance, not the good or bad. If there is good, there is going to be bad. When yesterday I was explaining balance, I told you, if there is happiness, there is going to be sorrow. There are two sides of the same coin. You cannot possibly escape from this entire loop that is being formed. If you are looking for happiness, right, you have to come in a state of balance. That is what you are looking for. This word is what, this is the reason why you rise above the dualities of life. Otherwise, everything you will see has a counter side to it. If somebody is right, at the same time they can be wrong also. Depends on where you are looking from. So a lot of times we get stuck over there. Why? Because we think that somebody is wrong and we want them to admit that they were wrong. All right, they were wrong, but we are the ones who get stuck because of it, right? We are the ones who remember that thing and we get stuck because of those things. So we are never in a state of balance, and whatever we want out of that situation or thing would also not be balanced, right? So suspending the expectation and doing the work with full dedication and concentration, right? 100% being there, doing your task. If you are doing a particular thing, you are doing that thing. Even science has, proven this thing, that our brain cannot multitask. It just, it has the ability to switch from one thing to the other at a very fast pace. So we think we are multitasking, but we are not multitasking. So when you put full concentration and dedication into a task, you bring meditation into your life, right? Meditation isn't something that you do separately in your day. Yes, you can do it separately as well. However, when you inculcate it in your action, it becomes much more easy for you to practice. And when you suspend the result, right? So one thing is taking you to a state of meditation. And the second thing, why is it specifically that, they always say, do not care about the result of whatever you're doing, just keep doing your thing. Why this sense of detachment is so often emphasized upon? Because it brings you in a state of relaxation. So see, you can look at anything in your life that you might have done without expectation, and during that entire process of doing that thing, there wouldn't have been a single amount of stress that you would have faced during that situation. Just you can reflect on anything that you did out of a very charitable heart, or because you were feeling very good, and you were just in that mood of giving. So that is when there was no because there was no expectation, there was no stress also. Similarly, if you have some expectation from something, you will always experience stress. Suppose I apply for a job, right? And I'm completely stressed throughout the process, that will I get that job, will I not get that job, because I want that job, but I have no control over it, right? So most of the things you will eventually observe, you do not have control over most of the factors. You can only control one thing, your way of perceiving something, right? It could be good or bad, but how you perceive it will make it good or bad, right? So this suspension of expectation will lead you to a very relaxed state of mind. That is why it is so often emphasized upon that, suspend the expectation from whatever you are doing, right? And again, doing the task as a duty. Yeah. So it is my duty to do certain things. This sense of duty will again lead you to a sense of detachment. That is why this is really important. One thing, it will lead you to a sense of detachment. Second, it is a great way for you to lower down your ego, right? Whenever we do something, there is some part of us which, there's some ego boost that we get, that I am doing this, or it is because of me that this thing is happening, right? So when we consider something to be our duty, why the word duty? Because it leads you to, one, lower your ego. Second thing, that it will help you to again suspend the expectation from that task. That is my duty, I'm supposed to do it anyway. You would have seen that your parents, they wake up and they have their own routine and everything, they do it anyway, be it you are there or you are not there, or if it's Saturday or Sunday or Monday or Tuesday, you will see that certain people follow certain routines every day, no matter which day it is, because it is the duty. They see it as their duty more than any other thing. And that is what leads them to, fulfilling those tasks every day with success. So it is a very important aspect that you need to incorporate. So for today, what we can do is, whatever actions we do today, let us see if we are actually being skillful about those actions, right? So be present in whatever you are doing. see that, on all levels, your expectation is somewhere, now going away. And this will again come a lot with meditation. As you progress in your meditation, you will be able to leave behind the expectations from everything that you do and reach a point where there is skillfulness in action. And these days we hear a lot of things about being imperfect, and how it's okay to be imperfect, but there is a possibility of becoming perfect as well. And that possibility opens up when you do yoga, right? When you get into the practice of yoga, that is the only stage where you can actually attain that perfection in action. So whatever imperfections you have, you can transform them into perfection, and only through yoga this is going to happen. So it is not something that is unattainable. Now it is totally within your own hands how much you progress on your spiritual journey to reach this point where you attain this perfection in action. All right. And all of the other things are connected to this only. Like I told you, all the above meanings, now you will be able to connect them more and more. Right? Any doubts in any of this? All right. Okay, so these are the three major definitions that you need to know of when you are, describing the meaning of yoga. All right. So now today's topic is, on the origination of yoga. So this is also another very interesting and important topic. Origin, right? Where did it come from? How did it originate? And why is there an existence of yoga? There could have been other things as well which could have existed, but why specifically yoga? Why did this come into existence? So there are two main reasons why, when we discuss the origination of yoga, we discuss both these reasons. One is your psychological reason. Psychological reasons, and then we have the mythological. Right? And in psychological, again, we have two divisions over here. One is your, attainment of happiness. So we are very happy, like attainment of, not, I wouldn't use the word happiness exactly, I would use the word bliss, right? Something which is more permanent, which sounds much more permanent than just a fleeting moment like happiness. So it's called sukha pravati, or enhancing your happiness. We always look for ways to, enhance our state of happiness. And second thing is dukkha nivritti. And we also want to get rid of the sorrow. So cessation of sorrow. Right, so this is your first reason. The combination of sukha pravritti and dukkha nivritti is the first reason that we have. And then the second one for us, is the curiosity. Right, so we are going to discuss all of these in detail. So these are, you can say, the psychological reasons why you know, our mind is in that state where we perceive that yoga came into origination. So there's a very old story about this as well, where a lot of rishis went to Lord Vishnu, and Lord Vishnu is, you will see, a god in Hindu mythology, and they told him that, Ayurveda, you have Ayurveda classes as well. So Ayurveda already existed in this world, and they went to him because they realized that there were a lot of other ailments that people were having, because it's not just a physical uh, like aspect in which you need to become healthy, right? If somebody is physically fit, that doesn't mean that they are not undergoing or going through other things in their life, right? So mental illnesses, emotional upheavals. So all the rishis and munis, they saw this thing, and hence, as a way of wanting to eradicate this thing, they went to Lord Vishnu, and they said that give us some knowledge which will lead to which will cure these issues, basically. So that is when Lord Vishnu gave the science of yoga to humanity, because when you do yoga, you will heal yourself on a lot of levels. It isn't just about the asana practice that you are doing. Of course, physically you will be fit. However, you will see that a lot of internal healing takes place when you do yoga. And in our pranayam classes, we have discussed the panch koshas, or five sheets, right? And that yoga works on all the sheets. So the best thing about yoga is, whenever you're practicing it, each and every practice is going to work on each and every sheet, right? Even though some of them will work more on a particular sheet, but all of them have the quality of working on the overall. Yoga is a holistic science, basically, where a proper and healthy way of leading the life is given, right? So, because, see, that is what I was saying. Dukha pravarti, Sukha pravarti, Dukha nivritti. So that is when Lord Vishnu gave the science of yoga to humanity, where they could enhance their happiness. And by enhancing the happiness, I mean moving to a more permanent understanding of happiness. All right. So that is why I use the word bliss for this, because happiness is fleeting, but bliss will remain. So it's a more permanent form. So enhancing your happiness to a level where it becomes bliss, it attains that permanence. And dukha nivritti, so cessation of sorrow from your life. And you know what? It was mostly seen by everyone who has ever given this deep thought. They will understand that suffering is a reality of life. Even Siddhartha Gautam, also famously known as Buddha, he also gave four noble truths, and in that, one of the noble truths is that suffering is permanent, or suffering is the reality of life. And even when you think that you are not suffering, your happiness, like I said, happiness and sorrow is like same side of the two coins. So that happiness is ultimately going to lead you to your suffering. Let me give you a very common example for this. So suppose you like something a lot, suppose some food item, all right? So you like that food item a lot. So you find it at a specific food joint, and you go and you buy it and you enjoy, relish that food item. And eventually you develop more and more taste for it, and the habit of going again and again and eating that food item. And one fine day, that store closes down, that food chain closes down, and you can never find that food item anywhere else. You know this thing, all right? Or at least the specific taste that that food item gives. So now just your craving for that thing will cause you suffering. So it was good as long as it was there, no doubt about it. But it also became a source of your suffering. Why? Because of this craving attitude of the human mind. So I will keep craving that thing again and again, and I want more and more of it. So never ending desire and craving attitude of a human being leads to suffering. So as long as it is there, if you are okay, and then if it is gone, you are okay again. That is the state that you need to reach to. Because see, yogi also enjoys life. There is nothing that the yogi has against enjoying the life. But the mind is balanced even when the yogi is enjoying life. If they get something, it's okay, they will enjoy it, relish it. If they don't get it, again, their mind is going to be balanced, and this is something that we are unable to achieve. So it is our own happiness which leads us to our sorrow. That is how it is connected, and this was seen very deeply by a lot of philosophers, a lot of people who delve deep into spiritual studies, and that is why they wanted to look for a way out. What is the way out? And the way out is actually the practice of yoga. So this became the first major reason for the development of yoga. All right, now I'm talking about dukkha or sorrow. So there are three types of sorrows that are mentioned in one of the ancient yogic texts. And every suffering that you have can be categorized under one of these categories. So dukkha or suffering, there are three types. One is adhibhautic. Or adhibhautic suffering. Then we have adhidevic. Or divine. And adhyatma. More than spiritual, it's internal. So another task that you can undertake for today is, whatever during the day, if something frustrates you, what you can actually do is you can actually see which suffering is being caused to you. This will greatly help you to detach from whatever you are going through and make it a little bit fun for you, right? So if we have to suffer, let us make it a little bit fun. So let us begin to categorize our sufferings into these things, so that you can take a little bit step back, you can take a little bit distance from your own suffering, right? So the first one is adi bhautik, right, or the physical suffering. So these sufferings are generally caused to you by the external environment around you, so the external world around you. And examples of this, very common example of this is the disease that we go through. So it reflects on your body. It's caused by the external world around you, and it reflects on your body. It can also reflect on the mind though. But yeah, mostly we see something happening in our physical reality only, which is troubling us. So external world causing us suffering. Suppose you have a conflict with someone. So when you are in that conflict, you are going to suffer at some level, right? Anything can happen and you can suffer. So that suffering is caused by something external to you. From your external environment, that suffering is coming to you. So that is one example of adi bhautik dukh. Then Another example is, as I said, disease. So something manifesting on your body, some blockage that is coming up on your body. And disease we generally catch from outside only, from our physical world only. So some disease that comes because of the external world around you will also fall in the category of Adi Bhautik Dukh. All right. So this is the world that you can easily see and perceive. So any suffering, so any argument that you get into, or any interaction, any situation that causes you suffering, again, it will fall under this category. Okay. Then the second one that we have is Adi Devik. Now this is out of our control. All right. So it is also caused by something which is superior to us. So divine, when I use the word divine, it is something which is superior to us. So sometimes what happens is that, people suffer from something and they are unable to find a cause behind it. So it's the spirit realm, basically. In that, energetic changes taking place, some bad energy around you. All of these things, when they start happening, that is the Adi Devik suffering. Because it is caused by, not by something that is in your external world, but some energy around you which is causing that thing. A lot of people are unable to find the cause of a particular suffering that they are going through. So it's not totally up to us what we suffer through. Sometimes we're just not in a right place also. So you would have heard of, haunted houses or something like that. So the overall energy of these places is such that they cause some sort of suffering to you. So another example which you will be able to see quite often is, just causing of an earthquake or cyclone, hurricane. All of these things are, other forces. Basically, they are not they're manifesting in the physical world. However, they are totally out of your control. Totally, nobody can manage the earthquake, or make the earthquake stop. It's the nature's way of shaking things up, I can say. So these things cannot be controlled by us. So Adi Devik suffering. Then Adhyatm, the third one. When nothing falls in these two categories, then the suffering is coming from within. All right. So sometimes our mind goes into duality about things. Our mind, causes us a lot of suffering. So, people who suffer from depression, stress, loneliness, any stress related disorders, in fact, uh, loneliness, anxiety, all of these things are caused by the internal suffering. And it is very easy to observe this thing. Why? Because the same situation, 2 or 3 people will be involved in that thing, but one will have a lot of anxiety or would fall into depression because of it, but others will remain all right. So it is their internal suffering which is causing them to fall into that loop of thinking, that loop of uh, existing, right? So this thing is coming from an internal conflict that is going between within their mind, right? It comes from inside. So these are the 3 types of sufferings, and everything that you go through in your day-to-day life also can be categorized in one of these 3, right? Any doubts in any of this? All 3 sufferings are clear?
Divine suffering isn't clear for me.
Which one?
Divine?
Divine. Okay, so divine can be seen in 2 ways, like I said. One thing is that, some energy, like I said, haunted house, I use that example, just on a spirit level. So it's not, we have a physical realm, then we have a spirit realm. So something that is existing over there, some sort of energy which isn't suiting you, because of that some suffering is being caused. Sometimes you are not able to find causes of, people go for multiple types of scans, but they're not able to find the cause of that disease or something happening to them. That is actually being
Okay, thank you.
guided by this one. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Any other doubts in any of this? All right. Okay. So let's move to the second point then, where we come over here to curiosity. So this is a very common thing. Curiosity led to the origination of yoga, of course. And the introductory philosophy class also we discussed. Just a second. So sorry. Yeah. So curiosity, right? So when we were discussing, when I introduced philosophy also, I discussed this thing that curiosity is a very general thing. Whenever we go into a new situation, a new place, right, we become very curious about things. We try to make sense of things. So curiosity was another reason why yoga came into development. And this is just not normal curiosity that takes place, right? This is a very deep level of curiosity that comes to us. How? We ask questions like, who am I? We try to understand these things, you try to answer these things. What is my purpose? Why am I here? When your level of thinking goes to an upper level where you are able to ask these questions, that is the curiosity which led to the origination of yoga, right? No other curiosity. Other things we can still make sense of, but a lot of things we cannot make sense of. Why am I here? What is my purpose? These questions start to come up only after a certain level of the development of the mind. If you would meet anybody, you will see that most people do not ask these questions. They are just running in the loop that has been created by them, for them by the society or by all the systems that are functioning around them. But it requires a higher level of thinking for you to even question that system. And the fact that all of you are over here on a conscious or subconscious level, somewhere you are having all of these questions within you, which you want an answer to. And yoga is the way in which you will find the answers to everything that you want to ask. And specifically, again, I will emphasize on this, meditation is going to give you those answers. Those answers will not come from anybody sitting outside or anyone around you. They're going to come from within. And the deeper you go in exploring yourself in this journey of trying to understand yourself, the more answers you will begin to get out of your own self, for your own life, how your life should be, what is suitable for you, what is not suitable for you, right? So going deep into the practice of yoga is somewhere going to connect you with your own inner voice, the part of yourself which knows what thing is best for you and which thing is not good for you, right? So another reason for the origination of yoga was curiosity. Okay, any doubts so far? All right, so I think we have a little bit more time. Let's see if I can cover this up. Mythological reasons, right? So one is your psychological reasons. These are easier to understand because they please the mind. But this one requires a lot of faith. Okay, so the main originator of yoga is said to be Lord Shiva, or Adi Yogi. Is also known by the name of Adi Yogi. So as per the mythological, if you refer to any mythological text, you will see that Lord Shiva is said to be the originator of yoga, and he was the one who, practiced yoga, reached the final goal, and then he passed on this knowledge to other disciples, right? So first disciple that he had, his own wife, Parvati ji. So his Parvati ji. And first he, passed this knowledge to Saptarishis, seven rishis who spread it in different parts. However, he taught his wife also first. Like first person that he taught was his wife, and after that he gave that knowledge to the seven rishis. So very old story that goes on related to this. It's a very I would say interesting story. So Lord Shiva, he was teaching Parvati ji the entire knowledge of yoga, and he was sitting by the river side. They were sitting by the river side, and he was teaching Parvati ji all the everything he had discovered, understood about yoga. And in house they were husband and wife, but when you go to school, even if your mom teaches in the school, she becomes a teacher, right? So over there you have to address her very differently. So same thing went on when Shivji took her classes pertaining to yoga. He was now the guru and she was the student, right? Guru meaning teacher. So when he was taking the classes, so this is the quality of the guru. So in ancient times, gurus, they used to just start transmitting the knowledge, and no student could even like interrupt them. The guru used to be in a flow, right? And the student had to just perceive the knowledge, whatever knowledge the guru was giving. Okay, so one fine day when Shivji took Parvati ji's class, we can say in common understanding of yoga, he went on and on because he had understood yoga so well. He went into a trance while telling this entire when he was transmitting this entire knowledge. So he went on for a very long time, in fact. And now Parvati ji being the student, now she's not the wife, she's the student. She couldn't say, I need a break or I need to go. So she was just sitting over there, receiving the knowledge. And, when we listen to someone, we are just like, we say that thing, right? Just as a way of confirming that we are listening. So same thing was going on. Shivji was giving that knowledge and she was just saying, as a way of confirmation that she's perceiving that knowledge. And after a while, what happened was, because it went on for so long, she fell asleep in between. So she was sitting and she fell asleep, right? We also do this. We also sleep in the class sometimes. Lecture is going on and our mind is just elsewhere, or we just literally fall sometimes, jhapki aana. In Hindi we call it jhapki aana. So that happens in the class. So same thing happened with Parvati ji also. So because there was a river on the side and there was a fish in that river, and when the fish heard like some knowledge was being transmitted, the fish instantly got attracted towards the voice, right? So, and voice of a yogi is very very harmonious, very peaceful, so everybody tends to get attracted to the voice. So the fish also came, and the fish was also listening again and again. So the fish noticed that Parvati ji had fallen asleep. She said, all right, nothing can be done. So she started saying, in place of Parvati ji. And by the end, Parvati ji woke up when Shivji was almost about to end the entire knowledge. And when Shivji ended, he said that, did you understand everything? He asked, he checked. So Parvati ji said, I fell asleep. So he said, but you didn't, because, somebody was saying again and again. So you didn't fall asleep. So she said, no, I fell asleep. Somebody else has been doing this thing. And that is when Shivji noticed that there was a fish who was listening to everything he had said. And there is in Indian tradition, there are a lot of rules of attaining such higher knowledge. So one of them is that you must always have the Guru's permission before you attain this level of knowledge. But the fish did not take that permission, right? So Shivji said, okay, Parvati ji missed out on the information, but the fish knows very well from starting to end what was going on. So he gave the fish a blessing and a curse, both. Curse, why? Because the fish had not taken permission to attain that knowledge. So, but the fish had the knowledge, so there was a blessing also attached with it. All right. So the blessing was that the fish will reincarnate in the form of a human being and become the propagator of yoga, right? This entire knowledge of yoga. And the curse attached along with it was that when the fish will become a human being, when in his life he will require that knowledge the most, he will forget it. All right, so this was the curse. So a very famous yogi by the name of Matsyendranath was born because of this blessing. And when he needed the knowledge of yoga the most in his life, he forgot that knowledge. And this is how, yoga was eventually passed on. So this is the mythological reason, or the story that we can say that Shiva was the originator, and then again it passed down in this manner to humanity. This is what went on, right? So any doubts in any of this? No? All right, so you have your Ayurveda class. I've already taken 2 to 3 extra minutes. So I'm going to end your class just with a very short Om Shanti. Yeah, so Om Shanti to everyone. And I will see all of you for your pranayam class at 3 o'clock today. Right, so see you guys very soon, and bye-bye to everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.